Welcome, guys, to a riveting podcast, the MMOs.com podcast, episode 127. Altai joined this week by
Omer. And as always, we have a great podcast to look forward to. And our weekly rate is a bit related to last week's. So take it away, Altai. It's a good one.
It did. I think last week we touched a little about our thoughts on fairness, and I wanted to make sure we give that another fair shake this time. So I named the podcast weekly raid fairness and player expectations, because I think those two concepts are intertwined. It's not a matter of what's fair or not. It depends on the context and what people expect. Mm-hmm. And I centered again on the whole Electronic Arts Battlefront 2 issue. And personally, when I heard this story, I thought people were overreacting, because, as you know, Omer and I, we're knee deep in the Asian free-to-play market. Mm-hmm. For over 10 years now, we've been doing this, right?
Yeah.
So to us, like a cash shop, a loot box, gotcha. This is like coffee in the morning, some scrambled eggs, some pay to win.
Some pay to win here, some pay to win there. We're used to it. Right?
So
we see it left and right.
Exactly. So like for me, it's like, well, okay, whatever. So EA's doing the same shit everyone's been doing for 10 years. But obviously, we were out of touch this time because it seems like this was a huge issue. This was a huge issue for EA. They got the lashback, the feedback was so intense that it actually leaked into the mainstream news. It's not very often that gaming stuff, gets into the mainstream news. So this got there. Disney noticed. Disney got scared. Disney put pressure on EA, and EA had to backtrack massively. They actually, for now, they removed all microtransactions from Battlefront 2, which I think is a crazy admission that players have power, because this was totally by player. And this is something that I didn't think was going to happen. I didn't think it was a big deal, but, I was blindsided by this. So first, what are your thoughts on that? And then I can talk a little more about the fairness part of it.
I think it does show that players have power, and I would imagine again more so power than I thought. To see the kind of reaction, I know after the first day after the controversy, like EA stock went down like 0.5%, and people were like, "We did it, Reddit, we did it." But like no, the whole market was down that day, so it was really a nothing burger, as they say. But the second day, I think it was a Tuesday, a lot of big Wall Street banks actually warned that, like, okay, this controversy is actually impact sales. EA might actually lose some money off of this, and then the stock tanked like 3%, which, like, in the context of a company like EA, is billions of dollars of lost market value. So there was a real impact, a financial impact to EA's wallet because of the massive shitstorm, and it was such a big shitstorm that it was covered everywhere. Wow. So it wasn't just a bunch of niche people being really loud. It was a lot of people being really loud, and it fucking worked. So good.
Yeah. Okay. So this obviously was a huge misstep on EA's part. Now, whether I think it's no big deal because other games do it, doesn't matter. The fact is, EA took a huge PR hit here. They had to back. They look like a bunch of pussies, wussies. I don't know what the word is. But I want to talk a little bit about fairness and how the context matters. So I think most of us have run into even more pay-to-win stuff than EA was doing in mobile games, right? And in free-to-play PC games, browser games. And I think the big difference seems to be that EA is still charging $60, right, for what should be a free-to-play business model. I think that's like the key point that people really took issue with. Is that fair? Like, let's say Battlefront 2 came out free-to-play, on all platforms.
I don't think anyone would complain then. Honestly, if it was free-to-play, nobody's gonna complain.
And no one would complain that you got to play for 40 hours to get Darth Vader.
Nobody's gonna complain.
Really? Okay. I'm curious if anyone in chat agrees with that, disagrees with that. I think the issue is a lot of console players and a lot of people who only play AAA games, whatever that means, right? EA, the big EA releases, the big Activision releases, right? These people are not really used to microtransactions yet, right? The way that younger people and people in Asia are just, microtransactions are just a way of life in Asia. And I think a lot of young people in America and the West grew up on mobile phone gaming, where it's also a fact of life. So the issue seems to be just that segment of the player base that just plays big Western PC retail releases. They seem to be the ones taking the major issue here with microtransactions. Right.
Here's my thing. Here's my spiel. That it kind of this is why this caught me by surprise, because it seems like there's a double standard in the gaming industry, even amongst Western companies, right? Because this idea of pay to win that people were very opposed to, I'm opposed to it as well, obviously. But it seems like I don't see anyone take a principled position against pay to win. Because people that are saying, "Oh, I hate pay to win, so fuck EA," right? But those same people support games that have pay to win elements in them. Like, look at World of Warcraft, for example. I mean, I think most of us, nobody criticizes WoW as a pay to win game either, right? Yeah. But you can get a level boost to level 100. You buy the game, you can buy a level boost for your character. If Final Fantasy 14, you can buy a level boost to your character. And arguably, that's not as pay to win. But is there any principled argument out there that buying a level boost does not bring you closer to the end game and achieving all the end game goals than somebody who plays for free? You can't. There is no principled position that says buying a level boost is not paying for advantages. So, but that seems to be okay. And that's what's weird about this pay-to-win discussion. It's not even about principles anymore. I think before people would say like any form of gameplay. I think years ago, and people would say that any form of changing the gameplay for money is pay to win, and that's why companies like Blizzard even do that. But now all of a sudden that's all allowed, and everyone's doing some minor pay to win stuff, and nobody seems to give a fuck. So how is it different for World of Warcraft to charge you money for a level boost? Let's say buying progression in or speeding up progression in Star Wars Battlefront 2. Because they both, by the way, getting level max level would still take you many, many hours.
I think that was part of my point. I think the fairness argument, it doesn't work because people have different perceptions based on the platform and the kind of game it is. So for PC releases, what's it called? World of Warcraft is a PC game. Where I think for a lot of PC users, especially MMORPG users, any game that's a service, right, like WoW or Counter-Strike, at this point has loot boxes.
Yeah.
So people are used to it. But if you're like just some random guy who just buys COD every year, buys Battlefield every year for his console, right, and then you put it in, and you can't play Darth Vader. What is this shit? I pay $60. Why do I gotta pay more? Like it's alien to you. So I think that's where the clash is.
But don't you think, I feel like on that issue, don't you think EA had some kind of like focus testing that they tested their loyal COD bros, the guys that again, most people who play COD, they don't post on Reddit, they don't post online, they don't share their opinions on gaming, they don't outrage about gaming, right? They just, when they get home, they put some COD in, blast some music, and they play, you don't think they did some kind of focus testing on that? And like, maybe that stuff came out okay, but maybe they misjudged like the more core audience who is going to bitch, and they all hated it so much that they created this outrage.
I think there was a lot of, I think there's like a religious thing in one of those BS religions where everyone focuses their hate on one object to make themselves feel better. I feel like EA got the brunt of the hate that the whole industry has been kind of building up. So EA got skewered for everybody's sins, I think, at this point. So it didn't matter that because every game does this now, right? But Star Wars is a big release. Battlefront, DICE is a big studio. So this was like a focal point. Everyone kind of focused the ire at this title, I think.
I'm glad the blowback happened though, because regardless, it's going to make developers think twice about how they handle the microtransactions. And personally, it does reach a point where it gets offensive. If you're buying a $60 game, having content blocked behind that paywall is definitely frustrating. Having cosmetics blocked is nowhere near as bad. And if it was a free-to-play game, honestly, my expectations for a free-to-play game is content will be blocked behind a paywall, and that's normal. I expect that. Whether it's a free-to-play shooter or free-to-play MMO, like certain things could be behind paywalls. And that even like Neverwinter, for example, when that game launched, in order to play a certain race, like I think it was a Dragonkin or something, right? To play a race, you had to pay money, which is weird because they're putting actual gameplay content behind the paywall. I mean, it didn't bother me because the game was free to play. I just played a different character. I just played a fighter. But if I was paying a subscription for a game and I have to pay extra on top of that to be able to play a class, then it's going to become an issue for me personally. But my question to everyone is, where do you draw your line on pay to win? Because we have to agree that there is, I think most of us agree that buying when World of Warcraft sells level boost, or when Final Fantasy 14 sells a level boost of 60, people seem to be okay with that. Oh yeah, that's okay. But selling other forms of progression is not. In fact, I would argue that in principle there is zero difference between selling a level boost in Final Fantasy 14 or selling full item level 340 gear, which is best in the slot for everything, right? Yeah. Or maybe so if you're buying the best gear in the game in the cash shop or buying a level boost, the principle behind them is the same. The only thing that matters is the degree of pay to win. People seem to be perfectly okay with being able to boost to 60 that gets you almost to the max level. That's a form of progression as well. So people are okay with that, but not okay with this. So where do people draw the line? And clearly, I think EA misjudged where people drew the line, where player expectations were with Battlefront 2. And it is about expectations, because when you buy a game for $60, you do expect something a little different than a free-to-play game.
I really think that it wasn't just what EA did. It was like kind of like I said, EA is just taking the heat for everyone else, like the pent-up rage. Yeah. And also, I think I am, Omer, I don't want to speak for you, but I am uniquely in a bad position to talk about this because, like I said, I've been playing games, especially from East Asia, free-to-play games that have been pay to win for a decade now. And you know, like when you're in a room that's really smelly, after a while you stop smelling it, and then when someone new comes in, they're like, "What the hell is that smell?" You go, "What are you talking about?" So I've been in the shit so long that like what EA is doing doesn't smell to me, you know, like. So
no, I agree with you as well. What EA is doing, it did not stink to me because I'm so we've seen this shit forever.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
it is a bit bizarre to see that EA got this much backlash. I mean, I don't agree what they're doing, but it didn't really offend me the way it offended so many people.
Yeah, we're covered in shit already, so it doesn't really smell.
That's fair. That's fair. But I think the biggest problem though is with the loot boxes. People really, really seem to hate loot boxes now. A lot of people seem to hate loot boxes.
I think a lot of, like I said, a lot of Western gamers who play console games or like physical retail releases hate loot boxes because, you know, they were never really a part of their gaming experience until now. But you know, like I said, for us, you know, it's nothing new. It's like literally 10 years we've been dealing with loot boxes.
So out of curiosity, where do you draw the line in terms of a game you will or will not play? For me, I'm not going to play if a game is too pay to win, and I kind of described it as like a game like Clash of Clans, Game of War. I've actually tried playing those games before. I've played them quite a bit on the PC browser, well before they were popular on mobile. I think I played one called Astra Empires years ago. Like this is before the craze took over and all the Chinese companies released versions of this game.
Yep.
Like I thought it was a lot of fun. Like I would play this for like a couple weeks, but then I realized like if you didn't pay, you were at an unbelievable disadvantage, and you really could not even overcome that advantage if you didn't pay. And after that moment, I just never played these games again because while I actually really like the core concept, I can't overcome that barrier. You know, I'm okay with some degrees of pay to win, as I think most people are. A person buying a level boost of Final Fantasy doesn't affect my fun in any way. It's fine. However, I do think if Square Enix were to sell, you know, best in slot gear, it would actually diminish my fun because it would seem like that's unfair. And obviously, shit like that happens already. I mean, you can buy best in slot accounts on black market websites. You could always pay to win in MMORPGs beyond beyond reasonable pay to win. You can completely pay to win and get all the content if you're willing to pay. It's always been that way because of black market websites. But when I see the developer outright selling it, it is a sense of fairness. It just feels wrong. It feels cheap. And that's when I won't play a game either. If you can just buy the most powerful gear, stuff like that is an instant turn off for me. But borderline pay to win stuff where you can pay for like mega convenience, even the Black Desert Online stuff where you can pay for like if you want to play BD Black Desert Hardcore, for example, it's a box game as well. You need to buy the four pets so you can loot faster and more efficiently. Like that stuff isn't even that bad. We're right around the edge personally, so it's not going to deter me from playing. Where do you draw your line?
Okay, I'm actually so lucky that for whatever reason, at a young age, playing MMOs and, you know, even Asian MMOs with cash shops, for whatever reason, I'm kind of inoculated from the desire to spend money on these games. So I don't know where that came from, right? For me personally. But I do think it's very important when you play a game to know why you're playing. You need to be having fun doing what you're doing in the game at that moment. I think so many people go into games, they're chasing that power. They need to be, you know, they need to be top among their friend group or perhaps the server or the guild, and you know that urge makes them spend money. I'm trying to get in the head of these people. I remember in high school, I introduced a few friends to MapleStory, and within a day of playing, right? I meet them in school the next day. Like, oh yeah, I spent like $100 in the cash. I'm like, what? Why? You level 5. Relax. You know, like the game's not going anywhere. Like, why are you spending all this money? And I think they wanted to compete with me or catch up to me or something. I don't know what it was, but you need to enjoy the game and have your own goal that is independent from spending money. So whatever it is that's behind that paywall, don't play just to get to that. Just play the game. If you enjoy it at a later date, you can buy a little bit of the content. That's fine. But yeah, people in chat are mentioning a really interesting story, which I linked to you, Omer. Clicker Heroes is a idle clicker game that we both played, right? They're making a sequel, and the sequel is gonna charge $30 and have no microtransactions. Did you read this somewhere?
I read about that, but I need to know the context of this because when you linked me that, okay, if this bit of news about Clicker Heroes 2 going from free to play to buy to play, and then basically saying free to play is all and loot boxes are all, you know,
evil,
greedy and evil and take advantage of consumers. If this happened before the Battlefront drama, that's perfectly cool. Like, I can respect their position. I don't disagree with it. I can disagree with it, but I can respect their position. If this bit of news came out and they announced this after the Battlefront drama, that tells me like they're opportunistic genius marketers.
Hold up. If you read it, guys, this is what it's saying. Okay, ethical reasons. They said we added microtransactions so people can kind of support us, you know, and throw us, you know, a couple dollars here and there. But then they realized there were a few people spending thousands of dollars on Click Your Heroes microtransactions. Thousands of dollars. So I think
insane.
This is more proof. And look, these are developers that are saying this. I honestly believe, just like with alcohol, I drink beer, I drink wine, I drink vodka with my friends, by myself even a lot. And sometimes I get to the point where I get hammered. Like I'm dizzy, I'm wearing nose, I can't walk straight. But I don't think I'm at risk of being an alcoholic. I could be wrong about that in the future, but right now I don't think I am. But I really think that with microtransactions and these loot boxes, some people, maybe the majority of people like us, can spend money on them responsibly. But they are a avenue that certain people, a large minority of people, will fall victim to, and they're like trapped. If you spend $1,000 on Clicker Heroes, let me show you guys what Clicker Heroes looks like. All right.
Look,
I don't care if you're a billionaire. I don't care if you're a billionaire. If you spend thousands of dollars on Clicker Heroes, you have a problem. Like you have a serious. It's just like if you're a billionaire and you're an alcoholic, you have a problem, right? Being a billionaire and having the money is not independent of having a problem. So if you spend money on this game, guys, thousands of dollars, I don't care if you're a lawyer, a doctor, a surgeon, you have an issue, and the company behind it is hoping that you continue having that issue and you continue pumping your money, you're feeding your addiction. All right, what do you stand on that?
All right. Well, first, I want to address one thing first. Okay, look, I'm trying to find out when this news came out, and it seems like it's very recent, and this kind of reeks of opportunism on Clicker Heroes 2 part. And what you're saying may be true, but it automatically makes you discount almost like their entire position. Look, they're really smart people over there, and maybe they saw the fact that all the shitstorm that Battlefront 2 just had for the microtransactions, and they saw this opportunity to make even more money. I think from the get-go, this is about money.
I don't think
this
so.
is about money from both EA and Clicker Heroes 2. Okay, look, EA wants to make as much money as possible. It's people saying it's greed. Call it what you want. It's always been this way, where developers want to make as much money as possible. They want to charge you for as many things as possible. And the consumer, the consumer, want to pay as little as possible for all the content, right? It's always been this way. You, the consumer, want as much as you can get for as little as possible. And the seller wants to get as much as they can get for, as little as possible. And it seems like this is a golden opportunity for a company like Click Heroes. Look, the fact that this is covered by this whole Click Heroes 2 thing is covered by big media outlets. Why? Click Heroes was not that big of a game. Was not like, it doesn't get front page coverage anywhere, but all of a sudden, taking this principled position against free-to-play and how dangerous free-to-play can be, all of a sudden, for a $30 pre-order on this game, they're going to make millions because people are going to throw money at this being as an anti-EA protest.
Okay, so that's very cynical. So, I'll say that's true, right?
Wait, why did this happen before? If they really felt this way, why did they wait till the day after the EA drama to do?
What you don't know?
How do you explain?
The game is not. No, the game is not out yet. It's still in development. They don't know.
Pure coincidence.
I think this prompted them to release this news quicker. I think they were internally thinking about it, right? Because remember,
maybe
they've been developing this game for a while, and I think it's very important to develop your game with your payment model in mind. Otherwise, it's kind of disjointed, right? So if they're developing the game for let's say a year now, if they wanted a cash shop in it, it's very hard to take out halfway through development. So I do think they were developing it, designing it without a cash shop in it to begin with. Now, yes, you're right. They released this news way ahead of time, way before the game is ready, perhaps, because this is the maximum way to get news. So I think it can be both. I don't think them revealing this information perhaps sooner than they wanted to is entirely cynical. It can be good PR and a good move.
No, look. I know if this happened a day before the A drama, 100%, I respect their opinion and everything they're saying. Now I look what they're saying with a completely cynical view because I don't know how genuine they are. Everything they post could be completely fictitious and bullshit.
Why would they lie about that?
Wait, why wait to release? Why not show this information? Why would they lie? What, are you kidding? So they get all this great PR and all this money. It's money. They're going to make millions off this. Everyone who's pissed off about this model and this entire business model is going to be like, hey, Click Heroes 2 is saying exactly what we want to hear. Let's go give them lots of money and buy their games so other developers see how successful this other model is, so our games will be the same way.
Okay, so
There's such a big financial incentive for this.
Are you disputing that the people did spend thousands on this? Is that made up?
No, of course. No, I'm not disputing that at all.
Okay, so I think that's the key point we need to talk about here.
Wait, so there's no principled position. Okay, I think the guys at Click Heroes want to make as much money as possible for themselves. As rational human beings, they want to make money.
Okay, rational human being, Omer. You see some old lady drop a wallet. Okay, old lady dropped her wallet. Yeah. She didn't notice. She keeps walking. You find a wallet. It's got $1,000 in it. What do you do?
Yeah.
What do you do?
I give it back.
Rational.
That's rational.
It's not. I think you want to make the most money.
With the word rational doesn't mean you can still be a good person. You can still be live up to what society's expectations and stuff like that.
What?
If you could rob somebody, if you could rob somebody and get away with it, would you do it? No, it's not the same thing.
I wouldn't, but I mean, here's what I'm trying to say, Omer. I think
your example is a false equivalence. And we point out one, and then you continue.
Okay, what's the false equivalence? I don't understand. You didn't steal it. They dropped it. They abandoned it.
Yeah. Then if they abandon, it's different. Dropping is not abandoning.
Sure it is.
Abandoning.
They walk by.
Property abandonment is a real legal concept.
Where
you relinquish ownership.
Do you feel responsibility as part of a community to that woman, right? So you want to return it. You could ignore it too. You could just keep walking by, but you would feel some kind of response. Okay, I think I could be wrong.
There's consent with microtransactions on games that's different. Where there's a consensual transaction is different than somebody dropping a wallet. Continue.
My point, Noah, is I don't think people do things just for money. I think that's a very dim and narrow view of human activity. And the behavioral economics, if you read into that, there's a whole host of decisions we make that are in fact completely counter to our and legally, to our financial well-being. So this idea that I honestly think a lot of, especially Western studios, I think Asians are much more in their culture. Money grubbing is much more common, but in a lot of Western cultures, I do honestly believe that a developer couldn't feel guilty. Bro, I think a couple podcasts ago, I remember I mentioned something like, if someone made a $1,000 donation right now, I would actually feel uncomfortable. I wouldn't return the money, I'm happy to take it, but it would it'd be almost like I swallowed a small stone. It would feel kind of weird.
No, yes, I agree with.
Now, why?
I agree with you.
Why would I? Why should I feel weird about that? If someone wants to give me $1,000, but I would. Maybe I shouldn't. Maybe it's not.
No, I'll tell you why. Okay. It's because it's a Twitch donation. If I made a game and they spent $1,000 on my game, I wouldn't feel.
Really? What's the difference? It's my content. It's the same content. So this clicker game.
It feels different. The term donation is different, and I still don't like the term donation.
Yeah, let's call it a tip. Let's call it a tip. It doesn't matter.
Tip is better. Tip is better, but it still feels awkward because it's it almost again it's about effort put versus what we get out of it too. Sometimes I don't feel like I deserve. I don't feel like I deserve a $1,000 donation personally.
So that's one. So you don't think it's possible for the guys who made Clicker Heroes, which by the way we're watching a video of, and we're basically
riveting gameplay.
We're getting the exact same experience the guy who's playing is getting. It's literally just clicking on these monsters over and over again, right? So us watching this is the exact same experience as him playing it. And if you want to play along, guys, just find an empty.
It's not the same experience.
If you want to play along, guys, just find an empty part on your desktop and keep clicking your mouse like this, okay? And just pretend you're playing. All right? It's the same game. You'll be doing the same thing. Anyway, my point is, I really think the studio who made this, the people who made this, when they saw a few people spending thousands of dollars on this game, they kind of felt the same way I would feel if I got a $1,000 donation. They felt, okay, we're making money, but it feels wrong.
Good. Why did they change that concept from when they started feeling bad about it? Clicker has been out for years.
Okay.
What's stopping them?
We don't know. Well, they said they
Oh, spoilers! I know. I know.
What?
They're making a lot of money off of it.
No.
They haven't changed it.
They said it wouldn't be fair to people who did spend that money if the stuff was removed right now. Like if the cash shop stuff was
not removed, just no longer available to purchase.
Maybe they'll do that. I don't know.
But they haven't, and it tells me that they don't believe principally what they're saying.
I think they could.
I question their honesty, their genuine, their sincerity. That's what
we can disagree on that, and we really don't have none of us have talked to them. Maybe I'll reach out to one of them.
Coincidence a day afterwards. Okay. It's so.
You know what? I'm gonna reach out to them after the podcast and try to have them as our first guest. Look, I doubt they'll come, but
if they do feel that way, though, honestly, I can respect their position a lot, and it comes from a position of like honesty and how they feel. And honestly, I think they can make a lot more money doing the free-to-play model, and for them to actually give up the money they could have made. Mucho respect. It's just my gut just says it feels. I don't know the answer either. They could have genuinely meant to put this out like a day ago, and then the timing just happened to be coincidence. It's possible.
I think you're focusing on the wrong part of the story, though. Okay, you're talking about their intentions. Their
no. Let's fine. Let's focus about the
somebody who spends money on this, thousands of dollars. They're sick. They have a mental issue that needs to be seen by a therapist and diagnosed. Okay, and they need to correct this behavior. If somebody spends like $10,000 to pay a beautiful woman to eat ice cream in front of him, like that's his fetish. That he just gets really happy about that. He really turns him on. Like, and he does it every month. He does it every month.
Yeah, he does it once a month.
Yes, I would say he has.
What's wrong? Let's say he's a billionaire. He lived. In fact, he was broke, right? But
why do you think being a billionaire absolves you of like bad decisions? I don't understand this concept that you have. Like, what if this guy likes to eat his boogers? Okay. Oh, he's a billionaire, so it's okay now.
It's not hurting anyone though. It's not hurting anyone.
I'm not saying it's. By the way, if you're depressed, you're not hurting anyone.
It's his motivation. No, it's his motivation. He gets up in the morning, so he goes to work, so he can earn money to pay do some weird shit. fulfill his fetish. He lives for that. He wakes up in the morning. He does it. It drives him. It makes him productive member of society.
Do you think he'd be more productive and more fulfilled if he didn't have that?
Hypothetically, if he didn't have that, he might be depressed and kill himself. He lives for that.
He might, but I do. Oh, so you're defending spending thousands on this because you think the guy gets some
listen,
life goal out of this, right? Even the guys who make the game feel bad about it, and you are defending.
No, I'm saying that I'm defending anyone who wants to spend $1,000 of their own money on whether it's on Clicker Heroes, whether it's on whatever fucking Hello Kitty Online, whatever game you want to spend your $1,000 on. It's your earned money, and it's not gonna make you miss your rent payment. And
it is,
you can spend that money.
But that's the kicker, Omer. The guys are spending $1,000 on this game. Okay, even the developer in the article. I'm gonna link this article to you guys.
Dude, there are people that spend their rent money on an Xbox.
Yes, and they have problems too. They have problems too.
Sure. Sure, but those people are the problem. Is Microsoft held accountable? Should they be shamed for providing a service, a product?
No, we should structure our. Look, here's the thing though. With an Xbox, you can't spend more than $300 or for whatever it costs, right? Where the limit of spending, the limit of addiction is unlimited with these microtransactions.
Are you kidding? Can you own every Xbox game if you're
Yes, sure.
For free accessory?
There's only a couple hundred.
If you make let's say you work at McDonald's, you make like $10 an hour, right?
Okay.
Pay
and you buy one game a week.
You can never afford all the Xbox games. All the accessories.
You can.
You have to pay rent. You have to pay all your utilities. Your actual disposable income for entertainment is tiny.
Okay.
Whether it's $1 billion or $10,000, it's the same. You can't spend that much money.
Oh, here's the thing though. Each game takes you so long to play through, whereas in a mobile game, spending $100 gets you nothing. So you got to spend another thing.
Plenty of people buy a game, they'll play it for 10 minutes and buy something else.
No, you're doing that argument that John Oliver was talking about, the whataboutism. I'm not defending a guy buying 500 Xbox games if he's works at McDonald's. Like that, I don't know why you think that's relevant.
So what are you attacking particularly?
Okay,
why should the company be responsible for the consumer's behavior?
Well, by the way, that's already the fact. Casinos currently, by law, must cut people off if they feel they're distressed, and they must provide hotline. They must provide those brochures. And then the casinos get fined if people complain that they were taken advantage of. There's investigations by law enforcement. So
gambling has always been highly regulated, but
yes,
other forms of entertainment.
I am saying that these loot box mechanics are similar to controlled substances and gambling. That they foster an addictive behavior that our human biology for many people can't. Once you fall in that well, you can't get out by yourself. So, and that's.
Okay. I agree. If you can prove to me that the loot boxes have the same psychological effect as gambling on the human brain, and you can prove this to me scientifically, I agree with you.
Oh, I got a story for you. Thanks to Canaris. Hat tip to Canaris. Belgium says loot boxes are gambling. Wants them banned in Europe. The Minister of Justice of Belgium, says a mix of gaming and gambling is dangerous. So. Last week we did.
The Minister of Justice is not a scientist.
Oh, he's more of a scientist than we are. Let's say that.
Maybe I don't know.
He's closer. Anyway, so the story we mentioned the story on the website last week that the Belgian government was looking into the loot box fiasco, and just today, I believe, right? This came out today, 2 hours ago. The Belgian's Gaming Commission said that they do indeed think loot boxes are a form of gambling and they need to be regulated by the state, so that they don't get people don't abuse them. That developers don't abuse people. So what do you think of that, Omer?
Well, first of all, I don't think it's going to pass, and the reason being that these video game companies. First of all, this is from their department of regulation department, right? Mm-hmm. The politicians in Belgium are going to be bought by the big gaming companies to basically tell that guy to change his position or get fired. There's so much incentive for EA.
That doesn't help your argument, though. If anything,
no. First, I'm gonna say what's gonna happen. What the reality is, money is gonna prevent this from happening, right? Because business is gonna. This seems like something very easily solvable by bribing the right politicians, and that's what's gonna happen. But if you can prove to me that the loot boxes have the same effect on the human mind as gambling and alcohol, right? This is a pretty high barrier to prove. If that's the case, there's no argument. I admit you're right then. That it should be regulated in some form. Like I'm not taking some kind of this is my way or the highway. I have this, position I'm gonna defend no matter what. No, if it is literally the same as alcohol on the brain of dependency, yeah, I think it's rational to put some limitations in place. But I don't think it's the case.
I think though, by the way, I really recommend you have a private conversation with Shirley about this, because I remember, I don't want to put words in her mouth, but like a year ago, she was on a podcast one time and we were talking about loot boxes, and she said something along the lines of, Omar, you're like a strong-willed person, so you can like resist, but a lot of, you know, like I guess the weak-willed people do kind of fall into a trap with these loot boxes in mobile games.
But you don't think weak-willed people fall into a trap of like spending every penny of their disposable income on like Xbox games? I agree. Your argument against to disprove what I just said was that they can't spend millions. The trap is only like a couple thousand. But for somebody working minimum wage, has low income, whether the maximum you can spend is $10,000 on all the accessories in the games, it might as well be $1 billion. You can't afford it anyway.
Again, I think the nature of it's like this. It's like trying to OD on beer versus vodka. Yes, you technically, if you keep chugging those beers, you will pass out, right? But just because of the nature of the dilution of the alcohol in the beer, it's a lot harder. You probably just vomit from having too much liquid in your stomach. So the Xbox games are like beer, and microtransaction, you know, Clash of Clans is like the what's it called? It's like vodka, or like, you know,
also
Fireball, Everclear.
But here's the thing about these loot boxes and good gambling mechanics, right? Spoilers, guys. We have casino gambling. People ruin their lives gambling, right?
Yeah, it's not a good.
Legal.
But I'm not saying it should be illegal. I'm just saying it's an ethical gray area that needs to be studied. And
look, if it has this, I'm gonna revise myself. If it has the same effect as gambling, right? Sure, maybe the company the gaming companies have responsibility to maybe if a guy's spending $1,000 on Clicker Heroes, maybe they have responsibility to say, look, you know, what kind of income do you have to be able to support this hobby? And maybe they could require some verification. But then, you know, if the numbers check out, there's nothing wrong with that guy spending that money.
Look, definitely. By the way, guys, I live in Las Vegas. There's legalized gambling. You know, helps pay my helps lower my property taxes. I'm all for. I'm not trying to say loot boxes should be banned. I'm just saying that there has to be some, you know, study of it so that the weakest and most vulnerable people don't get taken advantage of, just like with gambling. That's all. Like, you know, I don't want to get rid of it.
Right, that's fine, but yeah, I think a lot of people are they do want to get rid of it. The problem with the Battlefront drama is that they just don't want that in their game. Period.
I mean, that's a different point. Like, I mean, the Belgian authorities would not ban that. What they probably would do, tax it and control it, so that you have to verify your age before you can buy things.
Yeah, I'm not against those moves either.
Okay, good. So I think we found some middle.
Look, that's provided it has the same effect on the human brain as something extreme like alcohol and gambling. But by default, right? My default position is I don't think you have to protect. It's not somebody else's responsibility to protect idiots from making bad decisions. That's my default proposition. Okay. Generally, you should be able to do what you want. If it's your money, you know, you do your own thing, and that's fine. But if it does take an extreme where it does have a psychological impact, like gambling and alcohol, then yeah. But all right. These things are not going to disappear. Even if you regulate it, it's not going to disappear, I don't think.
Of course,
you know,
yeah.
We're still going to get the loot boxes. People, I mean, how do you address?
We wouldn't want a 15-year-old rolling the dice and chugging a vodka, would we? No.
No, of course.
And so same reason we shouldn't have a 15-year-old who's, you know, feels this burning urge.
A 15-year-old doesn't have access to that money. It becomes a parenting issue as well. Why is the parent, you know, giving them their credit card?
I mean, again, it's another whataboutism. Like, that's not the issue. That's not the point. No,
anyway, sure, I agree with the principle there, but you're tackling it in an incorrect way, I think. Ideally, the situations are solved by the parents.
No, that's not. But parents.
You don't want a 15-year-old blowing tons of money on Xbox games either.
Right. People can't choose their parents. If you tell someone, well, too bad, you should have been raised better, or you know, you should have that's like saying, oh, too bad, you should have been taller. You know, now you can't reach the food, you starve to death. Too bad. Like that's not. I don't think it's a valid thing. You know, no one picks their parents.
But you have to pick the responsibility. You have to put the responsibility somewhere, and I think by default, the responsibility lies with the individual.
So what do we do with someone?
Family before it gets to the society even.
Let's say it gets there though. You got a 16-year-old who was raised poorly. You can't just tell him, well, too bad, your parents.
Fine. He's raised poorly.
Okay, you did some.
Now is he the loot boxes?
As a community, we have some responsibility to our fellow humans.
Hey, I'm not against a company verifying like income before they can spend more than like after $1,000 threshold, maybe they'd be required to send their tax return in or something, prove that they make enough money to support this hobby.
I mean, again, I would do the same way the casinos currently handle high rollers.
Which by the way is basically
not well.
non-existent.
It's not well. Okay.
It's not well. Okay, people that are high rollers in casinos, they get given more alcohol and nothing gets done really.
All right. Well, I think we went in a circle. I think we agreed on a few points at the end there. That's good.
I want to pivot a little bit, also on the discussion of fairness though, but maybe take it away from the monetization aspect and talk a bit about fairness in terms of gameplay. I do feel like games, competitive games as well, take fairness to a bit of an extreme sometimes. Like games like Overwatch, for example, you know, they do try to make their heroes as balanced as possible, which sometimes gets in the way of fun. And MMORPGs, I think, is a better example because I remember playing like old school EverQuest, when that game had like when we played like in 2002 or something, the game had like 10 playable races and like 12 playable classes. Some crazy amount of classes and races right from the get-go. And obviously with so many classes and races, there wasn't any balance. Like some classes were complete shit, other classes were like a lot more going on. MapleStory is a good example of that today with so many playable classes. I feel like in the struggle for fairness and trying to make things balanced, we lose a lot as well. We lose a little bit of fun. When you pursue balance too much, you lose a lot of fun. And one of the reasons I love MapleStory, is that there's so many classes. I can always come back and try new shit. And when developers aren't so constrained by balance and fairness, it allows them to experiment with more crazy shit and it can create more fun. So I feel like fairness almost gets taken to an extreme sometimes, and it's a bit annoying. I mean, that's why I like actually Dota 2 model of like fairness, where everything is OP, so nothing is OP. It creates a way more fun environment, I think. I do think Dota was designed more with fun in mind because of that. Just the hero interactions, the crazy shit that can happen in Dota versus League of Legends, which is much more tame, or Heroes of the Storm. It is so fucking tame compared to even League or Dota. Like, there's so much more wild crits, crazy stun locks, and unbelievable nonsense in Dota that you're just never going to see in Hotstar League. So, I don't know. Fairness is a concept that extends to gameplay as well.
My stance on the competitive gaming and balance. I think we lost so much. I think one of the biggest sins of gaming is this focus on balance or fairness. Mm-hmm. For me, even as a kid playing outside, one of the greatest things about was the greatest point of fun in gaming was the asymmetrical nature of it. Like when kids are playing tag outside, not every kid is the same speed. Some kids are tall, some kids are short. But you form ways to balance that. Like you balance it out. Whether it's like picking teams in a gym class. They take two captains take turns picking, so you have a mix of good and bad players. I don't think we should strive for make it as even as possible, and then watch a boring 30-minute slugfest where barely anything happens because it's so even. Which is what League is, by the way. If you watch those League competitive games, it's so boring.
In fact, the League of Legends World Championship, SKT versus SSG, which was a couple weeks ago or a month ago or so, I think the one game there was 5 kills, one game there was like 10 kills and like 13 kills. It never got about 15 kills. Yeah. It was so boring. And first blood happened like 15 minutes into a game. Yeah. I hate it.
Yeah, there's not enough variance there.
And I think there was always a certain like fun to beating an OP hero. I mean, I remember when we played Dota 1 on Battle.net, we were really bad at Dota 1, by the way. We were really young as well. We didn't know what we were talking about. But, in our mind, if you pick Slardar for some reason, or Clinks, Bone Clinks or Slardar were the most OP heroes in the game. So in our friend circle, if you picked those heroes, you were a faggot, all right? And if you beat somebody who picked Clinks, you would just rub it in his face. So, you picked this OP hero and I still beat you. Obviously they weren't actually OP, by the way. We were just retarded. But that sense of overcoming something that's imbalanced is also kind of fun in its own way as well. Which is why sometimes, if I know somebody spent money on a game and I can beat them with inferior goods, that's actually a real benefit. So I don't want to lose that in the pursuit of balance either. Balance is important in some respects, but especially in MMORPGs where PvP and competitiveness aren't that important. Balance should not get in the way of designing fun classes. I think somebody mentioned in the chat, Paranub, is that classes become so homogenous it gets boring. When was the last time you played a class in an MMORPG where it was, holy shit, this is fucking interesting? For me, it's been literally forever.
Yep.
The only time I remember playing a certain class was Dark Age of Camelot. We played a class called the Thermatist or something. I'm thinking Thermaturge from Polish, but it's not Thermaturge. It sounds very similar to Thurgis. It was Thurgis. They summon a pet that only lasts 2 seconds, and the pet fights for 2 seconds and then it dies. But you can summon 10 of them at once. Or there's a class called you can put mushrooms on the ground and they act like turrets. But you can put 5 mushrooms in different spots, or you can stack 10 mushrooms together. And it requires a shit ton of mana. And your playstyle was so weird and bizarre that it doesn't fit into any common definition of a class. It was so bizarre, but it was so fun and different. You could always play the default warrior, mage shit classes too, but I loved playing these weird classes that would be really good in certain PvE situations, but would be garbage in PvP or maybe not very efficient. But it was amazing. It would give so much fun to be able to play a new class. I think MapleStory captures that to a degree as well. But so many modern World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy 14, there are no innovative classes anymore. Everything just feels so stale and the same old shit because everyone's so concerned about balance. Fuck balance.
And as someone who played one of the shittier classes in Daok initially, I still love the system. My first character was just
Armsman.
I just have a pole arm. I attack with I just go like this.
You were a shitty warrior with auto attacks. That was it.
I go like this. That's all I do. And then the other classes are this. The one you're seeing right here, Thurgist. he can summon like dozens of these like elementals. Animus summons mushrooms. There was a Bone Dancer who had like 4 pets.
Yeah, that was fucking amazing too.
So I had like 3 perma healers, personal healers, and like a 1 tank, and I could 1v1 almost any class with that, but he wasn't very good in a big group. So there was a give and take still, but the fact is they weren't constrained by making sure every class is balanced against every other class. Because if you do that, what happens is every class feels like every other class. Because there can't be variation if you're trying to keep everything balanced.
And I don't think too many people are really that concerned about balance. In games like Overwatch, yeah, I get it. It's more of a competitive shooter, but you can still design it to be like way chaotic. And I think the best example again is Dota versus like HOTS or League. Like I like League the most as my game, but like I love that aspect of Dota where it was just crazy fun design with both the items and the abilities. Created such crazy combos that were just like, it's still largely balanced because every class has these really crazy things, but otherwise you get such stale content. And I really wish other MMOs like innovated a bit on that. Like I play Final Fantasy 14 now. I'm playing. I have a Black Mage and I'm leveling up my Scholar. But like, there's really no unique mechanics.
Yep, I know what you mean. Do you remember? Do you think? What was your favorite class in EverQuest? Someone mentioned Enchanter was a fun class.
In EverQuest, I played a monk to like 50 something, and I played Paladin and I played a Shaman. I kind of liked Shaman as well because with a Shaman, it was a DOT class and it really created some fun mechanics. And obviously, DOT class itself doesn't sound very like innovative, but you were one of the only classes in the game that give yourself a speed buff called Spirit of Wolf or something.
Yeah.
Good old SOW. And that will actually let you outrun a lot of enemies.
Druid's got it too. Druid's got it too. I had it on Druid.
Yeah. So you could outrun like you could actually kill these ogres that were like con red to you, which means they were really hard to kill. Like you could never stand toe to toe with them. But you would dot them, give yourself the speed buff, and run around for like a full like 15 minutes and let the dot slowly tick on them and like, recast the dot over and over again while dodging other enemies. And it was like it was a weird style of play that developed because of the game that like was pretty unusual, but it was still kind of cool because it was different.
Mm-hmm.
So I like that a lot as well.
My favorite class in EverQuest was the Bard. I had a Bard. The way it played was so interesting. So you can play a different song. You can have a song playing. But the thing is, when you stop playing a song, the buff would start blinking, which means it's still active for a few seconds, right, as it fades. So what a good Bard would do is they would weave songs. And this wasn't like a feature that perhaps they planned, but the way it would work is you'd play a song, then you switch to another song, and it would just keep going back and forth. And I think you could have up to 3 songs because of the fade time. So you can weave 3 different buffs at once. And obviously
while moving and attacking, doing
else. So it was hard to be a good Bard because it required a different set of like button pushing than the other classes. Like there was no equivalent of that to like the Warrior had nothing equivalent to that. The Mage had nothing equivalent to that. Whereas in WoW, everyone has like the dot, everyone has a nuke, everyone has like the the movements. It's just I don't know.
That's probably what I miss most from like modern MMORPGs. I think I'm playing a modern MMORPG, Final Fantasy 14. Like there's so much I like about the game. There's a lot I dislike about the game as well. And I really would love to see whether it's maybe Air or some of these newer MMORPGs coming out. Maybe have fun with the classes again, and don't let this weird concept of balance really matter that much. Make classes fun, and then maybe tweak them later to make them somewhat balanced. But like I want to see mechanics that are different. I don't want to just play another ranged DPS, melee DPS. Magical heal, magical support, magical DPS. Or tank. Those are the archetypes we've seen in every game, and the same mechanics in every single MMORPG. Literally, whether you play a Chinese MMORPG, Korean MMORPG, Western MMORPG, your mechanics are the same.
You know what's funny? Having just trashed on Battlefront 2, I actually watched a streamer named Dr. Disrespect. I like his little shtick he's got going on. But he was playing Battlefront 2, and it actually made me want to play it because in the multiplayer, you have different characters, right? And the characters play radically differently. So he was doing really well with Chewbacca, the Wookiee. But then he tried like the officer who's got like a pistol, and he just got insta killed. And he's like, "Oh, this character sucks. I'm going back to the Wookiee." It's so cool that different classes actually have that actually play radically differently, So it makes me want to buy it. Actually, I don't know, guys.
No, you can't support EA. Fuck that.
I feel like exactly. I feel like I'm gonna get trashed on, but I actually want to try the different classes.
I've been playing a little bit of Battlefront lately, actually, enjoying that quite a bit. The classes feel decently different, though nothing like crazy. Like every class is still, pretty similar, but pretty superb game. So big shout outs to Battlefront.
Chat is a few people saying the officer is actually the most OP, and that's actually the best part, where each individual player, based on their playstyle, can have a different, a different favor and do radically differently with each character. If you can play a game with only like a plus or minus 10% variation with every class, that means that the classes are boring. Because every player should find a different favor, like kind of like Smash Brothers. I know you mentioned in the pregame, Omer. But in Smash Brothers, there was certain characters that each player gravitated towards because they fit their style better.
True.
Yeah, so you need to have that. The characters gotta be radically different enough that different people prefer different styles.
I think maybe that's why Dead by Daylight is a good example of a game that really has like unique mechanics for like different killers, different survivors, like, and the play style between playing as a survivor and the killer is drastically different. So maybe that's one of the reasons the game has done so well over the years.
Indeed. All right. Well, wow, we talked about that weekly raid, guys, for a long time. Oof.
Yeah, it was a good one, and I think fairness is still a discussion that there's a lot of nooks and crannies we haven't explored yet either.
Yeah.
But and monetization I think is now becoming like a big forefront of a big issue that everyone is talking about now. Before, again, it was in this weird corner of Asian shit that we were smothered in for a long time, but now it's right in front of Western audiences. Everyone's talking about this shit now.
Oh, I don't want to get into this too much right now. This is maybe a post-game thing. But I really think there's a difference between Western and Asian culture when it comes to monetization.
Okay, yes, 100%. And I don't want to sound racist by agreeing with you here, but listen, I remember I was watching a YouTube video, and it was about a relationship in China. I think you were watching it with me, right? About there was a couple, I think, that kind of living apart, and maybe they might have met online, and basically the man was in a Skype call with his girlfriend and her parents, right? They were meeting the parents on a Skype call, right? And they're obviously in love, they're in a relationship, and the girlfriend's mother was questioning the guy, and the first thing she's asking with this, like, I hate the sound, with his bitch face attitude, like, how much money do you make? What kind of car do you drive? Do you own an apartment? What's your job? How much money does your father have? Do you have an inheritance? Like, it was bizarre. Like, the only questions in this, I think it was like a BBC documentary. So it wasn't like some offshoot bullshit nonsense. It was, they were asking straight up about issues that were so taboo in like Western culture.
Yeah.
Always about money and status. You don't ask those kind of things here in the West.
Exactly. So, you think about it, but like you find like a sideways way to find out. You don't just straight up walk up to someone and be like, "Hey, how much do you make?"
But we almost money is such a taboo topic like that in America, at least. So to see them ask like so brazenly, and the guy was answering because like he's used to it,
Yeah.
So I'm not surprised with that kind of culture. I'm not saying their culture is wrong, ours is right, but with that kind of culture, it's no surprise that pay to win and stuff like that becomes like less of an issue. Obviously, people in China and Korea, obviously nobody likes the concept of pay to win. There's no vocal support for pay to win. All right, I think people are more accepting of it. I had a picture of Terrific Life Link. That's worth sharing.
I know. So if you guys can't read it, it says, before you can marry one, you must defeat her father in StarCraft 2.
Well, StarCraft 1.
Yeah,
father didn't
I was
grow
gonna
up playing
say
StarCraft
exactly.
2. Come on, that's a correction, boys.
Yeah, this meme needs some work. It's StarCraft Brood War, okay? Nobody's playing StarCraft 2 anymore in Korea. That game's dead. Dead game. Hashtag dead game. All right, back to Brood War.
We should talk a little bit about GStar 2017. Okay. That's for those that know, GStar 2017 is the big premier gaming convention in South Korea, where basically NCSoft, Nexon, and all the big companies show off all their good games, all the new stuff coming out. And there's been a lot of mobile stuff this year. A lot of mobile stuff.
Yeah.
So
I put up a whole bunch of articles on GStar, and it was all mobile stuff. Like, I didn't even realize it till I finished that it was all mobile stuff that I put up. I'll start with Icarus M.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a Unreal 4 MMORPG, and it's a sequel, I guess, to the original Riders of Icarus, which is known as Icarus Online in Korea. And that game was made on the CryEngine back in 2013. So 4 years later, it's on mobile. And I was surprised by how good it looks. Like this,
every game looks good on mobile. The trailers always look good, but the game always ends up being shit. I hate to be the pessimist now, but after playing Lineage 2 Revolution, I don't know, man. These mobile games are so misleading. But I mean, that's a whole nother account over there. But I don't know. I saw the trailer that you're talking about, and yeah, it looks epic. But when you play the game, it's gonna be auto-playing nonsense, the same way Lineage 2 Revolution was.
Sure. But before we get shitting on it, I gotta say, when I saw this trailer, it reminded me of the first trailer I saw for the Korean version of Icarus Online. when they're flying and fighting that one boss. It actually looks almost identical in the visual department. That's impressive. I gotta say that's impressive. You can't write that off completely.
No, visually it's impressive. Yeah. And I do think the direct, like, how much better visually these mobile games are getting is phenomenal. Like in 2-3 years, again, they're going to be better than like most modern PC MMORPGs, like for sure. With the way how fast mobile games are getting better and better. I think you said the average, the new iPhone has a CPU in it that's faster than the 7th generation i5.
It's the new iPhones are faster than the 7th generation notebook i5s.
Okay.
Not the desktop ones yet.
Okay. So again, the pace of like acceleration for technology for mobile has been getting so insane. So I wouldn't be surprised to see mobile games featuring PC or better graphics in near future.
Definitely. I think Intel needs to step their game up.
Before we get to a PC game at GStar, I want to talk about Blade and Soul Revolution. And look at this video. Honestly, look, I played Blade and Soul, right? So I like Blade and Soul. And seeing it as a mobile game, I'm like, Blade and Soul Revolution is going to suck. But look at the video right at the beginning.
Okay.
The graphics and the interface looks just like the PC version. Like visually, this looks freaking gorgeous.
Yeah. It's just again, that was what surprised me about Icarus. But I'll watch this one too. Actually, this is actually a better trailer because you can actually see the guy holding the tablet. So a lot of people don't like this kind of video because they say like the quality is bad. But I'd rather see this than a trailer because in the trailer they can edit it to make it look good. But when you're seeing someone actually holding the tablet or the phone, this is actually what it looks like. Yeah, it's legit.
You know they're actually playing the game. It's not some like pre-rendered nonsense or like some stage nonsense. Like even like the combat looks like so like the map, the way it's placed. This gives me hope that it's in a persistent universe because I see some other guy running around in the background. There's like 3 people in the video, and I'm pretty sure he's only in a party of 1. So it looks like it's in a persistent universe, which itself is pretty cool. I'm pretty sure there's autoplay too because I see the potion where it's like glowing, and that means it's being auto used. And I think I see an autoplay button on the bottom right, but I'm not 100% sure. But like visually and like fluidity wise, it looks beautiful.
Yep.
But what's the deal with Lineage 2? What's the deal with this game? Because like there's Blade and Soul 2, which is different than Blade and Soul R, and they're both mobile only games. Why are there 2? And why is the people that worked on Blade and Soul R is the development team that worked on Blade and Soul PC?
Okay.
You would think those guys worked on Blade and Soul 2, which is the sequel to the PC version. But no, Blade and Soul 2's got a different team. And Blade and Soul R is the real sequel because it got the same team.
Wait, Blade and Soul R is Revolution?
No, I don't know what the R stands for. It's called... It is Revolution, yeah. It's Blade and Soul Revolution.
But I thought Blade and Soul Revolution is by Netmarble. Am I wrong about that? I could be wrong about that. I made that up.
I'm not sure. I thought it was by NCSoft. Blade and Soul Revolution is 100% by NCSoft. I know that.
Okay.
Because Blade and Soul... Again, it's got the team that worked on Blade and Soul PC.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's a bit bizarre.
It's Terra Mobile that's going to be by Netmarble.
Yes, there you go.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, there's also Terra Mobile coming out, guys. That was also a big feature at GStar.
Actually, the closed beta for that bad boy is coming out like in like a week. Oh, yeah? That one's actually happening real soon in South Korea.
That one also, I want to show the video for that one real quick. So Terra initially came out in 2011, which makes it, what, 6 years old now?
Yeah.
Almost 7. I'm going to show some gameplay. Actually, I'm going to show other one here. So this is made on Unreal 4 as well, whereas the base game, the PC game, is on Unreal 3. So the mobile version is actually ahead in terms of engine, at least.
That's pretty funny.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's one reason these mobile games are going to get bigger and bigger. I really think that the pace that people upgrade their phone versus their PC is going to lead to mobile gaming actually being more powerful than PC gaming. The average I'm not talking about like Crysis here, okay? Crysis 5 or whatever they're on. I'm talking about the average.
Nobody can play Crysis, yeah.
But I'm talking about like stuff like League, like Counter-Strike. The big games on PC are going to be way behind technically from the games on mobile soon.
Mm-hmm. I think the best one of the more interesting things we saw at GStar was some gameplay for Air, which is actually a PC MMORPG. It's really that and Ket's Pal, the more gameplay for that, which I think I got my eyes on because those are both PC releases, and specifically Air because we talked a little about this last week. But I mean, this is a actual MMORPG. This seems to be like, and it's not just a relaunch of an old shitty game. We've seen a lot of old relaunches. We see like Tartaros Rebirth launched in America like a couple weeks ago. It's a trash game. There's a lot of old games that are relaunching on Steam, but like that's really nothing new. So to see an actual PC MMORPG, happening from Bluehole, like it looks like a decent budget game as well. So this seems pretty hype. I mean, so I'm waiting on this one. And what's cool about this is actually it already has a Western publisher announced, Kakao Games. So often we talk about these games. They often don't even have a Western publisher announced, and they never may actually come out. But they're clearly aiming for a Western release, which is pretty good. This one looks pretty hype.
Oh yeah,
it looks good visually, but I mean, I still have to play it, obviously, but looks neat.
Out of what we saw at GStar, this is what I'm looking forward to most. My only concern is it's Unreal 3, not 4. That's such a punch to the gut. But even with that said, the fact that it's so far in development and we're gonna get it the first half of next year, at least a beta, is it saves the day. Like, look at this gameplay. Like it seems like it's got a good mix of PvP, PvE, and like side stuff like to do that aren't super serious.
But man, the super serious stuff is important. The side not super serious stuff is important to me. Hopefully they do that right. I do think a lot of games they focus too much on combat. We've talked about it before. They lose sight of like the MMORPG experience. Like, yeah, have good PvP, have good combat, but like focus on a lot of the side shit too, whether it's cosmetics, whether it's emotes, whether it's really smooth animations, whether it's like weather, just all the side shit really adds up for the immersive experience. So hopefully they do well on that as well.
Yep. How do you feel about steampunk? I know this is a topic I like, a theme I like, I should say. So I'm curious.
I don't know. It's neat because it's different, but like I mean, it's not like I don't go crazy about it. Like, it's not like a bonus for me. It's just like
it's not a bonus.
It's not a bonus for me. It's hopefully, as long as the game is fun. Like, I don't care if it's sci-fi, medieval, or anything. Make it interesting, engaging, and different.
Yeah, that's the most important. But I'm saying, for me, it being steampunk definitely gives it a little bit of extra. Cyberpunk
Cyberpunk is way cooler. Way cooler.
That's true, but we don't get much cyberpunk. There's one single player RPG being worked on by Project Red, the guys that did Witcher, but that's probably years away still.
I mean, beyond that, we had a lot of mobile game news. I don't want to get too much to that. There's Ket's Pal as well, but I want to take us on a slight detour because I remembered a game is shutting down this week, and it's a game I have a lot to say about. It's Master X Master announced they were shutting down in January of 2018, so about a month and a half or so. And let me link you the article for that a second. But Master X Master is a game I've played a decent amount of, and I actually really like the core gameplay. But seeing Master X Master as a product is pretty. Like, it's so bizarre that the game got made the way it was made. So if you never played Master X Master,
before we move on, guys, the gameplay video we're showing is for Ascent Infinite Realm. It's coming out next year for PC MMORPG.
Yeah, let me link you this article. Sorry about that. But this game, I enjoyed the core gameplay a lot, but like, this makes me question whether some developers, know what the hell they're doing. Because this seems like Master X Master seemed like such a weird game. For anyone that didn't play it, it's basically a MOBA. It's got a 3v3 game mode, kind of like Battlefront, where you just in an arena and you kill each other. And you have a really cool mechanic where you can switch classes. So everyone chooses 2 characters at the beginning instead of 1, the way you would in League or Dota or Battlefront. You choose 2, and you can switch between them at will using your mouse wheel. There's a cooldown. They have separate HPs, separate cooldowns. So it's a tag team battle. It was actually really nifty core gameplay. And it ran really smoothly, good variety of characters. And there's also a 5v5, more traditional MOBA mode, which is really cool. But the game also had this really weird PvE feature where it was trying to be like Closers or Dungeon Fighter Online, where you could go on these PvE adventures and like unlock new stuff. It was so bizarre. Like, what on earth were they thinking when they made this game? Like, whoever designed Master X Master, I would love to have them in the podcast to pick their brain on what the hell they were thinking. Because you have a phenomenal MOBA element and this mediocre bullshit PvE element. And what makes it ridiculous is that it made players play the PvE mode to unlock rare nodes. Nodes were like runes. They can power up your attacks. And they were game-breakingly important. And nodes work in PvP. So it's like, players, you have to do this bullshit PvE mode, which doesn't even belong in this game, in order to enjoy the PvP, which is the core reason to play this game to begin with. Oh, we're also going to make you play PvE to unlock new heroes, which is bullshit because you need to play PvE to enjoy PvP. So who were they catering towards is my question. If I would love NCSoft to, who is this game aimed at? Are you aiming for the core mobile audience? Because they don't want to play the shitty PvE. They don't want to play the PvE for hours and hours and hours, for 50 hours, to unlock all the bullshit nodes and all the characters. They want to play the PvP, which is actually fun, but they can't. You're not even letting them play what they want to play. So seeing this game shut down is literally no surprise.
Yeah.
I thought maybe after closed beta they'd figure it out and just axe all the PvE nonsense. It made no sense to put PvE in a game like Master X Master. Literally no sense. It makes me question who's designing these games. Look, sometimes there's a disagreement over preference, and I admit I'm looking for a more hardcore experience than most. But this design principle makes zero logic, zero sense gaming.
Yeah, and people, someone in the chat mentioned they like the PvE in MXM, but that's not the point. I think the analogy I use when describing this is the restaurant one. You know, you can have a good PvE game, you can have a good PvP game, but when you just throw different game modes, like different, the thing is, when I played Master X Master, I didn't know what it was trying to do. So if you have a restaurant, guys, if you go to a restaurant and they have a menu, it's like 50 pages long, and they have hundreds of items, you can bet it's gonna be a very mediocre restaurant at best. A good restaurant is a very small menu, because then the chefs are experts at cooking the items on that small menu. That's why in League of Legends, one of the best moves League of Legends did, I think, was shutting down that stupid mode they added, Dominion or whatever. What was it called?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Dominion.
See, I feel that was just a waste of focus. That's not what people were playing League for. So I think to be an expert, okay, you don't add more, you take away, until you're left with the gem. Gem cutting is all about removing from the stone, making it shiny. All right, you don't add shit to it. MXM didn't know that.
That makes sense because, like, honestly, MXM could have been Battlerite. Battlerite came out well after, I think after MXM. Actually, I'm not sure. Probably similar time actually, but MXM could have been as successful and popular as Battlerite if they just focused on the core gameplay that made the game fun. Look, I accept that some people enjoyed the PvE. However, there's nobody out there that played MXM purely for PvE. There wasn't enough PvE to play anyway. There was no the progression there was so limited. It wasn't an MMORPG style progression the way DFO or Soul Worker or Critica were. So the PvE element, even for people that enjoyed it, there wasn't anything there. After you scratch the surface, yeah, I thought the level designs were kind of cool, the movement and the combat was kind of neat for PvE, and it worked. But there's nothing there that's gonna keep you for 10, 20, 30 hours. It's just not there. You'd much rather play DFO or an actual MMORPG instead. The PvE just didn't make any sense, even for people that did like it, because there just wasn't enough there. And it required the core audience to play that shit, which they didn't want to play. I didn't want to play in order to enjoy the PvP. And actually, I played the PvP a decent amount. And, like, it's funny. One of my friends played PvE a lot, and he had all the legendary nodes that I didn't have. But I still beat him, and it felt really good beating somebody with better gear than you. And we talk about the pay-to-win stuff. But, like, it felt good being my friend who had all the legendary nodes. But I just thought if they focus on the PvP, it could have been the next Battlerite. I mean, Battlerite is over 30,000 concurrent players. The game is booming since someone free to play. An excellent example of a game that focuses on its core. Battlerite knows what it is. There's no bullshit 5v5 game mode with lanes, turrets, and nonsense. There's no PvE mode in Battlerite. Battlerite is a 2v2 and 3v3 arena with a handful of heroes. That's it. And it works really well because it's so focused. It's laser focused on what it's trying to do. You can't add all this bullshit together and expect a good experience. It just doesn't work.
Indeed. Well, Master X Master was not the only game that got the death sentence this week. Marvel Heroes is shutting down as well.
That was a license issue with Disney, wasn't it?
It was. Disney decided to cut their relationship with Gazillion Entertainment, which makes Marvel Heroes. I don't think, which is not an unexpected move, because Gazillion's kind of a small company. Disney and Marvel are big. I think they're going to give the Marvel license to EA, which has Star Wars currently. So, you know what that means, guys. More loot boxes.
Oh, boy. More loot boxes, baby.
I think you did a first look for...
Marvel Heroes was actually a good game.
Yes,
it was actually a fun game.
It's like Diablo 3 or Path of Exile, like action RPG, but with Marvel.
Tons of heroes and tons of customization with Marvel characters. And you can actually play all of them on one character. You just switch between them, level up all of them separately, get their gear separately. It was a pretty... it lasted a few years. I mean, it was... One weird thing about that game is they kept changing their name. First they were Marvel Heroes, then it became Marvel Heroes 2016, and they're like, now we're Marvel Heroes Omega. Like, every year they would just change their name. It was really weird. Oh boy, we just got a sub. Thank you, HJ Bao, for the big subscription.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it, fam. It was fun, but it's shutting down now real soon. And the writing was on the wall on that one too. They stopped updating their website. They stopped updating their social accounts. So it was to be expected, unfortunately.
RIP Marvel Heroes.
The only other good game, switching gears back to GStar. Again, I don't want to say only good game because we've seen a lot of mobile games in there. Obviously, mobile doesn't appeal to us particularly, but what I liked over there was Kurt's Pell. I think we showed this off last week though, but it looks really beautiful. The core gameplay in this. Let me show that again. It's made by the guys that made Grand Chase and Elsword.
And this is a PC title as well, guys. This is not mobile.
And they're building this as a PvP game. So it looks almost like if you in the video I showed you, does it look kind of like Battle.right with anime characters?
Kind of, yeah. It also reminded me of Peria Chronicles, which we mentioned last week.
Visually, yes,
yeah,
but I think visually wise, there's no way.
Yeah, no, totally different gameplay, but I'm talking about the visuals.
Mm-hmm. But this looks kind of neat, and this was shown off again at GStar. But unfortunately, there's no release date for this bad boy just yet.
No. Yeah, no info on it. Do you think they said they chose Unreal 4 for this game because they want to leave it open in case they want to port it to mobile later? But they are designing it with with PC in mind, and they're also designing it with a controller in mind. So this will be a gamepad title or gamepad preferred title.
Yeah, again, it's one of the few games. Honestly, you could really count the PC games shown off at GStar like on one hand, which is unfortunate because I mean last year we had a lot of mobile games as well, but I think we had way more PC games. And again, this just shows how quickly mobile has like taken over the mind share of all these developers. And we show you that chart I think last week or the week before how much money NCSoft makes from mobile games. NCSoft makes like $500 million off their mobile games in one quarter. And if you count Guild Wars 2, Aeon, Lineage 1, Lineage 2, all their PC games, it makes like $100 million. They make 5 times as much money from their mobile games as all their PC games combined. And that's insane. All the money is coming from mobile. So no surprise that more and more mobile games are being made. What do you think is the next game to shut down soon? You want to take a shot at that one, Altai?
Oh man, I know I've been wrong for over a year now about WildStar. I feel like WildStar is like it just refuses to die. It's a cancer patient who just keeps beating the diagnostics. Like doctor says you got like 6 months to live. He shows up at he says he's gonna eat some bananas, run a marathon. He's not giving up.
And he keeps doing it. That fucker. Why won't he just die already? No, I'm kidding. At this point, I feel like I'm rooting for WildStar now. I revise it. WildStar's not shutting down for another like 3 years. All right, that game, it's got legs. It's beating cancer. It's beating AIDS. It's beating everything. All right.
You know what?
It's beating Ebola.
I'm rooting for the cancer cells.
You still rooting for the cancer cell, dude? This guy's beating back that cancer for years. Oh, dude, he deserves some. Like WildStar deserves some fucking praise now, right? They deserve some.
They're a survivor.
Some faith. WildStar 5, Omer 0. Yeah, at this point, I'm rooting for them for sure. They've beaten the odds for a long time, so I'm gonna say for sure not WildStar. But I mean, there's really a lot of games that should just die already. Like maybe I'm gonna put Bloodline Champions on there because that's the game that Stunlock Studios made before Battle.right, and there's no reason for it to be around now that Battle.right is so successful. I mean, they're in principle very similar. Design philosophy-wise, they're very similar. Obviously, mechanically they're a little bit different, but it's not very popular anyway. So that one's got to go.
Gotta go
For sure. While we're on topic of mobile games, maybe we can talk about Lineage 2 Revolution just a little bit more. I know they've been advertising like crazy for the last like few weeks. I think people in the pregame were talking about how every major streamer, whether it's WoW streamers, Hearthstone streamers, literally anyone big on Twitch got paid the big bucks to stream Lineage 2 Revolution. And we were speculating earlier how much people like Lyric were getting paid, or any of the big shot streamers. And I think you said, what was your number for how much you think they got paid?
So I said I thought Lyric got minimum 100,000 for playing it.
And it's crazy because a lot of people are always thinking like, oh my god, how could they sell out pretending like they enjoy that game? They're obviously getting paid, and they are getting paid. And we had a pretty fun discussion about our price point, because obviously I think we all agree that shilling any game, you shouldn't be doing it. But at a certain price point, you can't not shill a game. Like, listen to me, boys. If you listen on YouTube, if your boy Remo was paid $100,000, would you want me to turn that money down and not shill their game? Huh? Do you want me to say no? Come on. You understand that, right? Like,
get that money. Good for you. That's got to be your attitude.
Yes, there you go. Fucking tell me to go get it, and then I'm not gonna. I'll shill it for a week, and I'll never talk about it again. Or I'll say it sucks in my next podcast. All right, but like for that moment, just give it to me. All right.
You know what? I used Lineage 2 as a gauge. If you want to know who's big on Twitch or who matters on Twitch, just see who was shilling Lineage 2 Revolution and who wasn't. See, so for example, we're too small. Like, nobody approached us and offered us money to stream it, so we missed out. But those people who did stream it, that means they got big dicks. All right.
All right, I mean, Bogyak, if you lose all credibility from me, but I understand why you do. I don't think it's even a credibility thing. Honestly, look, I don't think they should be shilling it either. But like at a certain price point, like it's almost like why would you not take it at a certain price point? Like if they offer me $1,000 to shill it, maybe I'll say no. The game fucking sucks, by the way. You know, I put up a video for Lineage 2 Revolution on YouTube earlier, basically called my final thoughts video. It was basically me for shitting on the game for 10 minutes and saying it could have been so much more. It's really bad. Auto playing is crazy. I generally didn't like it personally, and I said I didn't like it. But if you know,
what if I did this, guys? Okay, what if Omer is streaming the game, right? And he's like, "Wow, guys, whoa! I just killed that orc. Autoplay. I didn't have to. Move, I didn't even have to use my mouse. Isn't that cool?
This game is amazing. Look at those animations."
So if he did that with this, but there's a giant paid promotion text like on it, like this. Would you guys still think that's not doable?
Fine. If we have the giant paid promotion text, can we fake enthusiasm then? Is that okay? All those streams, in their defense, were labeled sponsored, but it was always cringe to see people like, oh my god, this is so cool. Like, there was nothing cool about Lineage 2 Revolution. Literally nothing.
You know what we should do?
Very uninspiring.
You know what we should do? We should email Netmarble and be like, you owe us $100,000 for advertising Lineage 2. It must have got lost in the shuffle with all the companies you're working with in America.
There you go. Yeah.
They might pay.
I bet you if we just send them a blank invoice saying Lineage 2 Revolution invoice Twitch, they might pay it.
Yeah.
We should do that. We should do a test and see if they pay us. And we'll give it back, right? Because we're honest people. But like, just send them an invoice. Like we'll call it like J&J Marketing, Twitch sponsorships, XYZ, and put like 3 fake names there, and just put a bank account information and PayPal and see if they pay it. That'd be amazing.
Yeah, we do need some sponsors.
They paid everybody.
We do need some sponsors, guys. What do you guys think for podcast sponsors? Should we do Audible like everyone else? I feel like our audience doesn't really know how to read, so that wouldn't be.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. None of our audience, including us, reads quest decks and MMORPGs. So
yeah, exactly.
Reading it probably not. Yeah, so Audible could be good. We just listen, you know.
That's true.
So, Audible could totally work.
This podcast is brought to you by Audible. Want to read a book, but you're too lazy and too dumb? Well, just listen to it instead. All right, there you
go. Let's plug a sponsorship in here. All right, let's get some of that beautiful podcast money. I think these guys are advertising a shit ton for some reason.
Dollar Shave Club. Tired of being a neckbeard? Up your game. Get laid. DollarShaveClub.com/MMOs.com.
All right, boys. Here's the game that's sponsoring us. All right, I'm dropping the link in Twitch chat.
All right.
This is actually quite bizarre, honestly. Tartaros Online is spending a lot of money on advertising. This game is a piece of shit. All right, I dropped the link. I'm telling you it's a piece of shit, but if you want to play it, give it a try, all right? But they're spending a lot of money on advertising. I think they pay us per download. If you play for to level 5 or some shit, we get some moolah. The game is definitely not very good though. I did a video on YouTube already.
Yeah, I played with you.
It's weird that this game even launched. Like, why is it? Honestly, what's amazing is again, if you sign up for this game, the money that it's not even costing like a company money. The South Korean government is paying to advertise this game in America. This game is published by Game & Game, who is funded by the South Korean government, okay? You want to stick it to South Korea? Download that game, all right, boys?
That's true, yeah. Guys, if you download this game, it won't cost anyone money but the government, so go do it, and we'll make money off you.
Nice. But, yeah. All right, let's mention one more mobile game real quick. This is actually a mobile game that's actually gasp. Doesn't look like trash. All right, this is one of the few mobile games I think is actually somewhat hype. And maybe Twitch stream will agree with me on this one. What do you guys think? Mabinogi Mobile. Show it off.
Oh, yeah. You're right. I forgot about this.
This is a GStar as well.
Mm-hmm. This is probably the mobile game I'm most excited for from GStar.
Me too, actually. Oh, maybe Black Desert Mobile, but, you know, this Black Desert Mobile, I kind of know what to expect. It's going to be like another MMORPG. Mabinogi as a PC game was always innovative. It was always not just about the combat. It had trading, it had music, it had a lot of cool shit. So Mabinogi on mobile is what I think I'm more excited than Black Desert Mobile.
Yep. And it's an old enough game now that I think the translation to mobile, you won't really lose any visuals. In fact, the visuals probably look better. Mabinogi is old.
But this video looks pretty nice too.
Yeah. I think Mabinogi came around the end of the golden era of MMORPGs, kind of like with WoW. I think it's about the same age as WoW, maybe a year older. And it really pushed the envelope. It really was its own game. There's nothing like Mabinogi.
It was an MMORPG where there's a lot more shit to do than just kill enemies, kill orcs. And hopefully they can capture that on mobile. You know, we complain a lot about the combat in mobile, right? But because of the kind of game Mabinogi is, it's not just gonna be about combat. So there's definitely some potential there and hope.
Even the combat in Mabinogi, yeah, someone just mentioned it. Even the combat in Mabinogi was so different. Like you would think at that point, like you know, MMORPG combat, you think you have an idea what it means, right? You left click the mob and then you attacks, right? Mm-hmm. But Mabinogi had their whole different system to it. I think the way it worked is you had to see what they did. Like if they did an attack, you had to block. There was like an attack, a block, and a special or something, and you had to do the opposite of like what they did. It was like kind of like rocks papers, and if you failed, you did like no damage. You just got knocked up. Like I remember I was fighting a level 1 fox, and it took me like 30 minutes to kill it. It was beating my ass because I couldn't figure it out. But once I did, at least it was original. You know, the combat.
Mm-hmm. You see some combat towards the end of this video too, and it still looks a little bit interesting. I'm hoping this one's you know, nice. I think what else is coming out? I think we have another game coming out this week. It was Animal Crossing. The new Animal Crossing mobile game is coming out this week. I think tomorrow. I might try that. You know, we'll see how that goes. Okay, this is unfortunately there's no release date for Mabinogi Mobile just yet, and that means there's no release date here in the West either. But I'm sure it'll come out in America too. I mean, a lot of these mobile games are making their way to America, so I have no doubt this will. I think Terra M will definitely come to America because, I mean, Lineage 2 data is made by Netmarble. Plus, Terra was actually I think bigger in the West than it was in the East. That game is definitely going to make it.
I want to plug Path of Exile real quick here.
Oh, a big one, yeah.
Yeah, they have another free expansion, or I should just call it an update. It's not really. I don't know. What do you feel about that? What do you feel about free-to-play games releasing patches and calling them expansions?
For the most part, it pisses me off. Look, for an expansion, you have to have a lot of new areas, or like there's got to be a benchmark, right? My usual benchmark is if it adds a new class, it's kind of like a big deal, or raise level cap. If it does either of those two things in a traditional MMORPG, or ideally both, if you add a level cap and increase and add a class, then you're an MMORPG. That's an expansion rather. If you don't do that, it's just an update. You know, you add a couple new maps. That ain't no expansion,
yeah,
right?
I prefer to. Yeah, there are 32 new maps or regions, but you know they're not like huge. But yeah. Anyway, so Path of Exile, big patch coming up in December 8th. If you haven't played Path of Exile and you like action RPGs, I think December 8th is a great time to start. You know, maybe you'll be off for the holidays sometime in December. So be sure to try the game. They're adding a whole bunch of. They're focusing on endgame this time, so the endgame mapping system we'll see an update. So that's always good. So go play it. That's the Altai game updated of the year. The best improved game of the year for me is Path of Exile. I know people say Warframe
was huge.
Yeah. Warframe also is another contender. You'll have to wait till December.
Warframe is actually huge. Holy crap! Actually, Warframe since they launched the Plains of Eidolon, their player base has doubled, and it stayed that way, which is incredible.
Is Warframe on Steam only, or can you play from their site?
I think you can play from their site as well. I'm going to check that for you right now. I'm pretty sure you can still download it on their website.
I want to compare.
I think a lot of people play on Steam.
I think it's bigger than Path of Exile. Warframe. I think it's definitely bigger. But
Yeah.
I don't think it's an apples to apples comparison because a lot of Path of Exile players play off Steam, which might be the case for Warframe as well. But I think Warframe is okay. So you played off Steam. Okay, so yeah, it is off Steam. All right.
But the game is unbelievably popular, so they're doing mega work.
They're both good games. Don't get me wrong. I just prefer Path of Exile.
AP podcast for Grindfest? Maybe. I mean, I don't know how much of a game that's easily playable there. We tried playing Lineage 2 Revolution on Grindfest, and it was something else. I don't think Altai particularly liked it either.
I didn't mind it, to be honest. Here's the thing: those autoplay mobile games, they're very easy to stream because you can leave them on one screen and then talk and chat and read, like Reddit, while you play.
True. PUBG broke another new record. There are like 2.8 million concurrent users now.
Oh wow! Do you think they're going to release the desert map before New Year's?
When they release a new desert map, it's going to jump again. I think we're going to hit 3 million by the
end of
the year.
3 million, boys.
3 million. More importantly, look at my PUBG bandana. It is now up to over $1,000 for a bandana. Trench coats are about $600 each still, but those are I think right about to jump as well. The MMOs.com retirement account is doing well. I got 6 trench coats in the bank and a bandana.
Just basically, you got a new computer. Did you sell anything, or did you get just feeling flush?
I am feeling flush right now.
Right.
I didn't sell any. I'm still holding on to my 6. I have 6 trench coats and a bandana. My price is once I can sell each trench coat for $2,000, I might sell then. Right now, my shit is worth like 5G, but I'm gonna hold on to it until it jumps to like double that. If I can sell for 12K, I might do it. Probably. I wouldn't be Fortnite. I don't know. Fortnite has a market for that yet. They might. Check on the community market on there. Honestly, I'm so happy that PUBG is so popular. Like, beyond having a lot of fun with PUBG, I made like $5,000 playing PUBG with these bullshit items. God bless.
It's the ass in chat. There's no effing way people actually buy these, right? You'd be surprised. People do buy them. Look how many orders. There are currently 9,900 people who have put in a bid to buy this bandana at $1,050. So these are.
Look at the you can see the actual bids. The one at the bottom is that number or less. So a good benchmark. If you look at the actual bandana, at this exact moment, this guy wants to buy one bandana for $1,050. One guy wants to buy it $1,024. One guy wants to buy it $1,023. You can see 5 people in their highest bids right now. These people are just waiting to buy it.
Yeah.
And you can see all the transactions in the past on the on Steam Market.
The more time I spent online, the less shocked I am by crazy things. There are many corners of the internet that will shock you more.
People will buy Dogecoins, right? If they're gonna buy some meme currencies, cryptocurrencies, they're gonna be buying some cosmetics as well. Alta, are you retarded if you buy 1K code? Great question. Alta, how do you feel about that?
Yes.
Whoa, it's an investment.
That's okay. That's true. If you're doing it,
you can always sell it. Remember, it goes up in value.
I will say this. The fact that there's a market for it, right? Even if you don't sell it, unlike Omer, like, let's say your intention is never to buy it to flip it. Okay, your intention is to buy it and wear it, right? The fact that there is a secondary market where you could sell it at some point. Let's say you need the money, right? You're getting foreclosed on. The fact that there is a market where you can sell it makes it far
because you spend only money on trench coats.
Makes it far less stupid than a single player mobile game where you're unlocking different waifus or whatever.
But I like Chaos' answer. You honestly retarded if you don't buy the coat because the price keeps going up. All right.
Yeah, but that's a dangerous mentality. A lot of bubbles are built on that,
Greater fool theory, right there.
Yeah.
Well, I think you retire if you don't buy Bitcoin. It's over 8,000 a pop now.
There's also degrees. Like, let's say you really like PUBG. You play it every day, right? Yeah, sure. Buy a bandana, buy a trench coat. It makes you feel good. But the problem is the mechanics gonna get you to keep buying them? Like, imagine you buy one every month, and the game kind of encourages it. Then we're getting dangerous territory, which is what a lot of mobile games do, by the way. None of these mobile games are like, okay, buy this and you're done. It's always buy this. Oh, you didn't get the one you wanted. Keep buying.
Everyone's curious about why these are so rare. These are pre-order bonuses. You could only get them if you pre-order PUBG. And actually, they sold out of pre-orders, which doesn't make any sense. But they limited them for pre-orders. And if you pre-order, you got them. If you didn't, there's no other way to get them in the game. So the fact that they're limited quantity and how PUBG is so popular is why they're worth so much money and why the price seems to keep going up. Though oddly enough, there were items in the game that you could get from loot boxes that are worth a lot of money too. I actually got something called a camo cap. It's worth like $15. Like, I can just sell $15 right now, and you got it from a loot box in the game. Now, that loot box is no longer in the game, but it was in the game for a while. So it's weird that those are worth so much money. I think the purple skirts sell for about $150 US on Steam, and those drop in loot boxes. So even loot box items are valuable in PUBG. At least some of them are. The rarer ones. Chaos Shield got the booty shorts.
Don't you guys? Am I alone in this? Don't you think the resale possibility makes it wiser? Makes it less silly?
Of course, yeah.
Okay.
Sure, but again, it depends on why you buy something. That's one aspect of it. If you get enjoyment out of it, I still don't think it can be foolish.
Sure. Let's move on to post game, guys, because I have a feeling we're gonna have another circular argument coming up. Thanks for watching on YouTube.
Thanks for watching on YouTube.
If your patience level is higher, perhaps watch us live next time on Twitch, and then you can see even more circular arguments. All right, take care, guys.
Take care for YouTube.
Oh shit.